welcome back to the channel. We are going to get into these electronics that you guys have been hearing me talk about the past few videos. Those guys right there. And we're going to talk about why I got them and what I'm going to use them for and so on. So let's just jump right into it, alright? First thing what I'm going to do okay. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about my older units. So I have the old school 999s, 958, excuse me. And then at the console there I've got two 899s. The reason why I haven't upgraded those yet is because they do what I need them to do. And they've been working for me so far for what I need them for. Now, I don't intend on keeping 3 screens here. Personally, I think 3 screens is too much. I can easily get away with the Garmin, which sole purpose is the Livescope. All right, but I'm going to upgrade to either a Helix 12 or Helix 15. One bigger unit, because I just only want 2 screens up here. The reason why I got these two still is the screens are smaller. I can cut it in half. You know, I can do this whole screen will be for the 360, and that'll work great as soon as I can get rid of the interference, which we talked about the last video. But it'll still work. The interference only happens when the trolling motor is operating, with the pedal when it's under power. So if I'm anchored and I'm not moving, the interference isn't there. So I mean, it'll still get used. It'll be fine. And then this one usually has a down imaging in the map or sonar in a map. I usually always keep a map on there just to keep my bearings where I want to be. And sometimes I don't even use that if I'm fishing up shallow. Obviously, I can see where I'm at. So eventually these two will be gone and we'll just be back to 2 screens, because I used to only have these 2 here. So that's why, since these guys are still doing their job just fine, I opted just to spend the extra money to go for I got the 10-inch Garmin graph here, the 106, and I got the LSV 34 Livescope mount. If you are looking a little bit closer, you're wondering, well, that doesn't look like your typical Livescope mount. You'd be right. And so here, this is from Fish Obsessed. This is a pretty sweet little deal here. You know, you can turn, you know, whatever you want here, and then you can turn it like that, and then now you're down. Okay, it is a little tough. You can set that with the screw size. So, and there we go. Now we're back. So the Fish Obsessed mount, that's not the unusual mount I'm talking about. The unusual mount I'm talking about is this guy right here, house mounted there. That is my own little custom little mount, because I have a Terrova still, and we are looking at upgrading that maybe within the next year, hopefully sooner. But for right now, Terrova is doing great. You know, I've got a mount here for the 360. That's fine. This works. The Livescope mount and Livescope works great. Even with this here, there's no obstruction. I already tested it out. There's nothing. I mean, it's gonna work. And because the only other way to mount the Livescope here is right on here, and it's a little tough to do when I've already got the transducer running up in there. And that pole comes up here. It's from Cornfield Crappie is where that mount comes from. And that pole actually will hit the 360. So this one I cut down, so it's going to clear the 360. So that's, and then obviously the other update is, or upgrade is the 360, obviously. But those are my updates for the bow. And so there's a lot of guys that'll go either just 360 or just the Livescope. I like the 360 because it can show me pockets in weed beds. If I'm just looking out, I mean, I've had the 360 before, just not on the bow mount. So I mean, and it's worked great. I love it. But the Livescope, obviously, everybody knows. You can see in live view the fish in front of you, and if you put it in perspective mode, you can see out, kind of like the 360 in live view, except it has its shadows. So like if you throw it at a weed bed, you see the weed bed, but it's hard to see pockets. The 360, you can see that. And then also they can work together. I don't remember who said this. There's another video I watched, but and I've seen it in other instances too. Their 360 can find you your boulders, right? Let's just use boulders as an example. Find you a big boulder. Well, you can scan your Livescope over there, because your 360 is rarely ever going to be able to see fish on it. Now, this is not the Mega, so it's not crisp and clear like some of these other guys, but it does what I need it to do. Anyways, you can scan. You find a boulder with your 360. You scan your Livescope around, and you can actually find the boulder, and you can see, okay, well, there it is right there. You can actually pinpoint exactly where your cast needs to go. So that's another key reason why I've got both of those. Now for the Livescope, I'm also kind of torn about what to do if I want a manual mount. So that way when I'm spot locked, I can still use it and direct it where I want it to, or on the trolling motor. Well, I'm starting on the trolling motor, but I do have a manual mount here. Okay, here we go. I had this in the back box. I just grabbed it and pulled it out for you guys. So it's by Sea Light, and the reason I went with this one is because of its functionality and price point. $300, and I've seen a bunch of them out there for like $600, or I shouldn't say a bunch. I've seen a couple out there for $600. I've seen a lot out there for cheaper, but they kind of sucked. Okay, there weren't the functionality just wasn't there. It wasn't what I was looking for. So what I mean by that is you can mount it like this, and then you've got this little knob right here. You can tighten that, and then you're pretty good, right? And then of course you tighten this so this doesn't slide, and you're ready to go on pad. You're ready to get up and go. Now when it's time to get going, there's a lot of videos out here for this too. So I mean, there's a lot of better videos, I'm sure, like one from Sea Light. So when you're ready to go, just undo this here, and then just turn it, and then there we go, turn it, and then just tighten it up. There you go, and you're ready to go. Now obviously this will be down. I just have it set like that, so just loosen it up here. It's gonna fall. Slide it down. There we go. Now you're in business. Okay. See, now you can go whichever way, and obviously your transducer is going to aim this way. It's going to aim this direction here. So it'll be opposite from where this is pointing. And this is really effective when you're out offshore, spot locked in the wind. Now your boat is still going to move around because the wind's going to blow you around. Your spot lock's going to make you go back and forth, but this will give you a better chance at finding them without losing your spot lock. And I really like this, but the problem is the cords. And I mean, when I'm in a tournament and I want to go, you know. So that's why you don't see a lot of these guys in tournaments using these, but we'll see how this pans out. We're gonna start it up there first, the transducer, and then, you know, we'll test this out too. They both definitely have their uses. It's just that this one's going to take a little bit more time to set up and to use. And when it's time to stow, turn this knob here. Whoops. It's one-handed. It doesn't work very well. So you can turn this here. Tighten up your pull there. Okay, and actually you can turn it either way, but then also you can just bring it in like this. This is a terrible presentation, but you can bring it inside your boat, and however you set it up. I've got to set it up pretty close to my units because that's where I'm going to be at. You know, someone else might have it further back, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted it up a little bit as close as I can up there without interfering with the units. And I can still turn it in there. I just got to slide it the other direction and flip it the other direction. But you can maneuver this to inside the boat and lay it down. If you're in really rough water and you're not sure if this is going to make it, you can just bring it in, or you have to unhook your transducer, of course, and maybe strap it down with your rod strap. But you can take this off, take this guy off like that. It's that easy. And then there you go. That's what you got. That's my manual mount. I don't know how much use it's going to get. I don't even know if we're going to keep it on there. But I wanted to try it out because I wanted to try both aspects just to see if it's something that I can use and how effective it is. And I don't know. I'll give you my review when we start using it. Still waiting to get on that water. Oh, and by the way, these are actually pretty decently light, and they're very sturdy on here. I opted to use bolts all the way through. They give you leg screws, which is fine, but I was able to reach underneath and put bolts, and I put bolts through, and I was able to reach underneath, put washers and lock nuts. I feel more comfortable with that. And if, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you don't really necessarily have to do that. That's just what I usually do, especially what I do on my units here too. I always do bolts, just for safety reasons. Okay, so in addition to the 360, it's if you have one or if you know much about 360s, kind of like the Talons, if you don't put a shutoff switch, they will constantly draw power and kill your batteries, even if they're being charged. I just went over an issue with this. I just trying to figure out what was going on with my battery. The battery was shot, so I got it checked out. They said, no, it's good. I had my charger checked, and that's good. So what I figured out is that, and this is all with putting the switch in the positive. So you got a positive and a negative for the power for your 360. I put the on-off switch in the positive cable, and I don't know. It should have still cut off power. It shouldn't be drawing power, but somehow it is drawing power. And so what I did is I put another switch. There's a better way to do. Okay, so depending on how you want to do this, you can hook it directly up to a battery shut-off switch. Well, they're big, and mine, I want it by the steering wheel. I want to be able to put the switch on. Okay, here we go. And so what I opted up to do is I just put in another switch, and you're gonna see some duct tape on this one because I was gluing this one in, which I think we can pull it off now. So the reason why I was doing this is because it's popping out. So I put some silicone in there. It also helps to seal it too. Not bad. Okay, so see, there we go. So now I got these switches. They come in pairs from Cabela's Bass Pro Shops. Relatively cheap, around 12-15 bucks, I think. And my other one, so this is the positive one. I have mounted there. I don't have much space, much more space for the other one, so I just mounted it down here. And Probably not the best way to do it, but hey, it works for me, and it works. It shuts everything off, and I'll still have to figure out why it's drawing power through the negative. Don't know if that's really a good thing, but we'll figure that out later. Right now, I just needed it to be cut off completely from the battery to keep it from killing it. So that was one of the other updates that was pretty crucial too. All right, well, that's going to do it for the electronics upgrades on the boat. And as you can tell from the rods on the deck and some of the boxes out, these rods here too, getting set up for the first tournament of the year. And we'll see when that'll happen, if it will happen. Mississippi River, poor folks down there, they're having a record-setting flood, and it's not good. So keep your thoughts and prayers for them as well. There's a lot of other people struggling too, a lot of other stuff going on. But I know for sure that these folks here, they're struggling with the flooding. So keep them in your prayers, and if we don't get down there, that's fine. But we're prepping for tournament season. We're gonna. I've pretty much got all my stuff set in the boat, tackle wise, and I think we're gonna do a video. I'm gonna show you my boat. I haven't done a full boat tour other than my electronics. We'll do a full boat tour of what's in my boat, what I put in my boat, why I put it in there, and so on. Then maybe after that, we'll do a couple other videos. I'm thinking about doing one tackle organization. I organize tackle different than some people. Sometimes with some I probably organize it just like they do. I have picked up some tips that I have over the years that I have, put in place in my boat for organization, and it worked really good for me. And other people are going to have their favorite tips, or their favorite ways to organize their tackle, and that's okay too. Organize your tackle how you see fit for you, not for anybody else. I'm just throwing out there what I do, to see if it can help someone else. For another video. Then maybe we'll do one with the camper setup in the back of the truck. I made a couple modifications. We'll do a tour in there. I did a little bit of a tour in the beginning, but we'll do another tour a little bit more extensive, and show you the updates I made in there too. But for right now, that's going to do it for us. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one.